and start that again. Okay, Brian, because I can't hear anything. If you can give me a clue.
The Lillian McDermott
There we go. Okay, Tim, time to do the Muppet dance. So we are live on Facebook. I am so excited. Let me make sure I turn off everything that I don't need on.
It seems like your best days.
Okay, here we go.
If you're in need,
I'm happy. I'm doing the happy dance. Hopefully my voice will. I've got something open.
Right here, and when you need a friend, you can count on me. I'll be right here waiting for you.
Okay. Okay, everybody, share that I'm on Facebook Live.
Lillian, visit her on the web at whenyouneedafriend.com. Now let's all learn together. Here's Lillian McDermott.
Hello, my listening friend. It's so nice we can meet you on the air and on Facebook Live on this beautiful best day ever. And for those of you who are new to the Lillian McDermott radio show, I am so grateful that you stumbled upon me because I've been waiting for you. I'm going to tell you right now that this is a safe place where you can go to when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide alternative ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening, my viewing, and all friends all over the world will feel empowered to embrace a new truth and live the life of your dreams. Now, today is the day. I can't believe it. Or can I say I do believe it, because time is going by so quickly. That's right, it is. It is going by really quickly. And today we get to dissect my article with Tim Walters. And he's one of my favorite editors, but my favorite editor from Florida Today. He is a Swiss Army knife who helps me dissect the article once a month on the Lillian McDermott radio show. So today's article is called, What is Your Body Trying to Tell You? What is your body trying to tell you? So are you ready? Are you ready? So fasten your seatbelts, because it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge. And I'm so grateful that Tim Walters of Florida Today is here to do just that. Welcome, Tim. Welcome back to the Lillian McDermott radio show.
Good morning. Thank you, Lillian. I know my body's telling me I'm tired because I had to work late last night because of the elections.
Oh, yes, I know. And you know what? You know it's a no politics, no sports show. But I will say this. No matter who won, whether you're happy that they won or not, it's time to move forward and support whatever candidate was elected. So I just wanted to say that, because sometimes we get stuck in the past, and I would like to move forward and work with and support our leaders that are serving our country, whether you agree with them or not. Would you like to say anything about that, Tim?
Yeah, sure. I'll just say a couple of things. Number one is, one good thing is our mailboxes will no longer be filled with junk mail. I'll no longer be getting texts from people I don't want to receive texts from. And I'll have about a year of peace and quiet before the next ads begin for 2020. So that's all I'll add to the political discussion.
It's a win-win.
And the other thing I'll say is, you said it's a no politics and no sports zone. So you've eliminated two of the three things that I do in life. So.
Well, but you know what? It's really nice when we get to dissect our life and who we are and what we want. So often, it was Ariane de Beauvoisin. I have to say that one more time. She says that we raise our children to be achievers, to achieve medals and goals and grades and degrees. But we seldom focus on our spirituality and our spiritual life. And so what we focus here is mind, body, spirit. So it's nice that we get to talk about it today. So Tim, as I always talk about you as being my Swiss Army knife, you do a lot for Florida Today. For people who would like to learn more about Tim, you can check out just about any of our shows once a month. He's my monthly visitor, as he calls me on his show. So welcome, Tim. Would you like to share just a little bit about yourself and why you love coming on the Lillian McDermott radio show?
Sure, absolutely. So, I just surpassed 16 years at Florida Today. I've been in the journalism business a little bit more. Thank you. I've been in the journalism business a little more than 2 decades, and I am currently the editor who oversees sports and the photo staff and the feature section, which includes health and TGIF and a lot of the sections that a lot of the people might read. And I personally do the health section, which is kind of become one of my passions. I grew up the son of 2 nurses. My mom and dad were both RNs. And so, got I think a lot to offer. And I was introduced to you now probably about 3 years ago when I took over the health section. I've been doing your radio show for, I would say, about 2.5 years now. And I think, we've developed a really good rapport in how we look at your articles, dissect them. And, like I say, once a month, I look forward to what you're going to send me because I never know what I'm going to get.
That's right. And this article today and it'll come out on tomorrow's paper, but you can find it on my website at whenyounneedafriend.com. It's called How is Your Body Speaking to You? Or What is the Body Trying to Tell You? I forget the title this time, but when you saw, we've got a little bit of time left, but when you saw this article, did it speak to you in a different way?
It did. I mean, I know that you're big into a lot of the discussions of the body and how it functions and where different things come from and why people get disease and stress and other problems. So I knew it was going to go in that direction, but the direction that you took it was really good. And I've got some highlights that I can't wait to discuss coming up in the next couple of segments.
I know. And so for those of you who are listening live on the radio, wonderful. But here's another choice. If you want to continue listening, put it on your phone and you can listen on Facebook Live and watch us as well. And you'll get the inside and outside conversations off the air. And we're going to continue our conversation with Tim Walters when we return worldwide at whenyounneedafriend.com. We'll be right here waiting for you. Okay, Tim. So now the people who are watching on Facebook Live get to be a part of our off-the-air conversation. So what people don't know is that we joke around a lot about being Muppets. So how did that start with us? Do you remember that?
Yeah, I mean, remember I used to come down to Cocoa when you worked out of that little studio there. And, we would sit in that little teeny tiny radio booth. And I think just one day your theme song came in and it's just kind of such a happy bob your head kind of, and all of a sudden I was just waving my arms along.
Yeah, and I recognize that. That was like the Muppets.
You said it reminded you of the Muppets, which I don't know if that's where my inspiration came from, maybe subconsciously, but it's kind of stuck for the last couple of years.
I tell you what, I know that this is not what people tune in for, but this gives you a little idea of what Tim and I have been joking about for the last 3 years, because I've been writing for Florida Today over 3 years now. I can't believe how much time has flown. And but my little brother and I, we used to dance like the Muppets in the ballroom scene. And even today when we dance together, we just break into the Muppets and we do this, like, do you remember that when they used to, like, they would make a comment and they would go off and they would dance like that. So that was my brother Mel and I's favorite dance when we were growing up. So that goes to show you our level of emotional IQ. So today we're talking about how the body is trying to speak to us and what is our body trying to tell us. And so as you were reading this article, because we're going to go deeper into the article when we go back on the air, but did you try to listen to your body? Because I know that there have been times that you've been reading my article and you start working it as you start to read. And so did this have anything, did you want to start listening to your body right away, or how did it go for you?
I guess the good news is I think I'm pretty in tuned at listening to my body. So, it did make me think of other people who I think aren't quite as adept at that. So.
That's right. Here we go. Okay, Brian, you're going to have to keep me honest. I need to know when we're going back. So here we go.
You can text
now
Lillian
we get to dive
or
in.
leave her a voice
you get started. You take over.
373-5959. Once again, here's Lillian.
And welcome back to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show. This is Florida Today's Tim Walters, Lillian's guest this week, as we dissect her latest article that came out yesterday online at floridatoday.com/health and at whenyouneedafriend.com. And it will be in the printed newspaper tomorrow, Thursday, in the health sections of Florida Today. So once a month, Lillian sends me an article and I get to read it, dissect it, pick it apart. We talk about it on a TV segment for the Florida Today show. We talk about it here even more in depth on the radio show. So Lillian, I always appreciate you having me in. And let's just delve right into it. Your article this week was titled, "What is Your Body Trying to Tell You?" So I guess the first question I would ask is, where did the inspiration from this come from? And how did you get rolling on this?
Honestly, I would say that my experience last month or the last 2 months thinking that I had a brain tumor and still I have, a freckle is what we call it now. So what a freckle is a little spot on your body. And it's just a freckle, right? And so when it changes colors or when it changes shape or form, then you do something else. And so we're keeping an eye on the freckle in my head and in my brain. And so I remember the feelings that I went through, and I got to write about it on Florida Today last month when I did my article. And I felt like at that moment that I was betrayed by my body. It's like, why would my body betray me when I do so much? But the reality is, prior to me learning a new truth, I was treating my body with what I thought was love and respect, but perhaps it wasn't. Perhaps this thing in my brain was with me all along. So, but what I did with it was I wanted to see, okay, what could be causing this? Or is this at the tail end because I've changed my life in so many ways that if I would have gone 3 years ago or 10 years ago and had a brain scan, I wonder if there would have been something bigger. But because I'm practicing what I preach, perhaps maybe it's on the tail end and going backwards. So when I received the diagnosis, or, which was an incidental finding, by the way, I thought, okay, it's time to listen. What are some of the things that I'm doing to my body that my body is speaking to me? So that was basically how I started. And because I've gone to Dr. Mona Lisa's, it's a boot camp to read the body. As a life coach, a lot of people come to me with some issues that they want to resolve, but there's usually an undercurrent of something that's happening in somebody's life, in my life. And so I had to do some dissecting myself. So that's what the inspiration was. That's a long way to say that we all need to listen to our body, no matter how evolved you think you are. Does that make sense?
Sure, absolutely. And you open up talking about how, sometimes you get these diagnoses and before you really know what's wrong, your mind starts to race and, you think the worst and things like that. You threw a quote in here that kind of threw me off. It says, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality," which I think is a great quote, but you had just listed Seneca. So here I'm thinking in my mind, Seneca, is this some pop star I haven't heard of? No idea who Seneca was. So I Googled the quote because Google knows everything, which is
That's
fantastic.
right. Yeah.
And I learned that Seneca was an ancient philosopher who lived about 2,000 years ago, born in Spain, raised in Rome. But I just think that is such a true quote. We suffer more in imagination than in reality because your mind runs wild before you actually have the answer. And it's very easy to create things. And I think sometimes, not sometimes, I think a lot of the times that will make a problem worse, because when your mind starts racing, when you start thinking the worst, your body starts to believe it and breaks down more. So, just an interesting thing for you to put in there.
Yeah, because that's what happens. When I was talking to the neurologist that was trying to find other things that was going on, when he said, we've done everything we possibly can do here, but there's another finding. And here is what, and I explained this last month, is like when you hear, well, you have this thing in your brain, all you hear is, I'm going to die, I'm going to die, I'm going to die, blah, 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 I'm going to die. That's what you're hearing. And, but I got to exercise that part of my life that I have been preventing and reversing. You know what I mean? I've been working very hard at eating the right way, or eating the way that my body loves, and doing things that, protecting my thoughts, creating memes to help others. Like, some people say nip it in the bud. I say nip it in the thought. And so I had to do everything I possibly could to stay positive, to start thinking about, what I want. And what I wanted was that this was going to be something that was like, whatever, nothing, no big deal, a freckle, which is the first thing my doctor said when I went to see him. So, we manifest what we want. But here's the thing. A lot of people think that being a realist is saying, what could go wrong? I'm just a realist, people say. Oh, I'm just being a realist. Why can't we be a realist when things go right, or thinking things will go right? And that's what I was focusing on during that entire time. We also think that we're victims of our DNA, and I talk about that on the article, that we are victims of the cards we were dealt when it comes to our DNA. But the reality is, with the teachers that we've had on the show, we learned that you can turn your DNA on and off depending on the way you eat, sleep, act, or think. We know that we are not powerless, that we can change our thoughts, and we know that we can tend to ignore our feelings and our intuition. So I really dive into the intuition portion of our body, and I want to be able to see how many people will be able to dive in and start listening to that voice that we have that comes from the divine.
And, as I read through it, I always have to explain things that maybe seem obvious to people, but you had a line in there are two results that come from healthcare practitioners,
Yes.
Negative and positive. Well, I had to throw a line in there that says negative, which in health terms is a good thing, or
Yes.
positive.
Yes.
That's one of the few places in life where you want to hear something is negative, because that
Correct.
turns into a positive, if that
Yes.
sounds right. So anyhow, so you said that, if you get the negative, you breathe a sigh of relief,
Mm-hmm.
and you could either take two paths. You can, after you receive a diagnosis, you can make a change. That's one path. Or you can keep doing what you're doing and possibly have that problem, crop up again, or get worse. And, the hardest thing in life to do in your personal life is change something, change a habit, change a lifestyle, change a way of doing things. So it's easier just to maintain what you're doing and hope that the doctor can, prescribe you something that will mask the problem rather than heal it. And
Yes.
I think that's what I took away from the first part of your article, is that too many people are, taking the blood pressure medicine rather than stopping to eat the fried foods, things like that. So,
Yeah, the pharmaceutical pill becomes a permission slip so that you can keep doing what you're doing. And if you keep doing what you're doing and you expect a different result, you think that the pill is going to be a life changer. But what it does is it gives you permission to continue mistreating your body. So I say a quote on there, if somebody were to get a diagnosis of, let's say, diabetes, God forbid that would be, the doctor says, well, you'll have to take this for the rest of your life. But the reality is this, that if we were to reframe and reformat and say, okay, so this is the quote from my article. I have type 2 diabetes and I need to be on medication for the rest of my life. This is what we hear. Or we can say, I just learned that if I don't change my eating habits and some of my behaviors, it could cause me to lose my limbs, have potential kidney failure, or even dementia. Because, by the way, dementia is now called type 3 diabetes, just so that you know. And so I need to change my choices that I make. I want to be healthy and start thinking about what's the best thing that could happen. What's the best case that could happen if I actually change my behaviors, and I want to return my body back to health, because if we give the body what it needs, it will return to health. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we've probably talked about this a bunch before, but what you put into your body is what you get out of it. So, when caveman was around, for instance, we didn't have a lot of these diseases because they ate plants and berries and drank
That's right.
water. There weren't sodas, sugars, fatty foods, deep fried things. So, nowadays, if you look at our population and if you look at the percentage of disease, if you look at the percentage of problems even starting in childhood, there are so many things that could have been different based on your diet, your parents' diet, and so on and so forth.
Mhm.
But, a lot of people don't think about it because, I mean, things are convenient. They're there in front of you. You can go get what you want, basically at any hour, at any place. And so, it's real easy to form these habits that really do affect, like you said, whether it be diabetes, whether it be, other problems like that. So, as I said, change is such a hard thing, but and I guess that's where, having a life coach or somebody who can help you along is really, impactful. I'll use an example. I like exercising and things like that, but I would never, I've gotten into an age in my 40s where I just don't go out and just do it by myself, aside from running. So we hired a trainer who helps us work out. And, I don't like lifting heavy things and putting them down, but, now I do those type of things. And it's because you have that motivation. So sometimes if you need that extra is, don't be afraid to reach out to somebody who can actually help you achieve the things that you want to achieve, because thinking you can do it on your own is a really difficult thing. And having that, person behind you to help you and to push you and to help get you there, that would be my biggest advice is, if you want to make that change, don't go it alone.
Yes. And if we continue to eat poorly and stress regularly and ignore that voice that is within us, we're the only species, and I've said this so many times before, and some of you are probably going to roll your eyes, but we're the only species that runs towards danger, that is attracted to danger. You see a deer in the wood drinking water, and they're just having a good time, and all of a sudden their intuition speaks. And they look up and they know that something is wrong, and they take, okay. Can you hear me? Can you
I
hear
can
me?
now.
Okay. So I need to make sure that we have enough time here. I've got to check out what my chat button is here. So sorry about that. So, so we're the only ones that go towards it. We feel that danger, and we go towards it. So I want to encourage people to start listening to their intuition. And so I developed a acronym to focus on what our body is telling us. We go to the doctor, and then the doctor says, you have a diagnosis. And we treat that diagnosis as if it was the problem. The diagnosis is not the problem. It's what's we're doing that's causing the problem. And we're going to continue our conversation with Tim Walters when we return worldwide at whenyounneedafriend.com. We'll be right here waiting for you. What happened? Am I still on Facebook Live? Let's see.
It totally froze on me for a minute, so I completely lost what you said along the way there. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. That's okay. We're just talking about intuition. And so I am, let me see if there's, I hope that we're good. I hope that we're good. Let me see. If you guys can see me out there, are you guys, yep, I think we're okay.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, it's smooth now.
yeah. So if that ever happens, because I dropped out too, and it automatically brought us back in here. So that's a good thing. Okay, so now we get to focus on the disease. And what happens many times is, now that we have a disease, that's another excuse to not do anything about it. First, it's the pill. Oh, if I take this pill as a diabetic, or if I take this pill as a person that has a heart condition, then I can go out and continue doing the same thing. Do you know people like that?
Oh yeah, I know. Unfortunately, there are too many people like that. I'll use a funny example. Yesterday, I was waiting in line at a place. I won't say business names, but I'm waiting in line, and there was about a 45-minute wait. And there was a guy who was 86 years old who was standing in line, and he was basically holding court. He was amusing all of the people in line, but he couldn't wait to tell anybody anything about himself. And he was telling us, I'm 86 years old and I don't take any medication. And I'm healthy as I can be, and I go on the golf course every morning. And then he started talking about, and I don't even know how he got on the subject, but then he's like, I've never been a beer drinker. I'm not a beer drinker. But then he says, you know what my secret is? Scotch.
He's well preserved.
Yeah, exactly.
Isn't that what alcohol does? It preserves everything.
But the point I'm trying to make, though, is how many 86-year-old people are truly on no medication? And that's what this man was saying. And, even in the old age, there are some things you can't avoid and need pills for. And, so good for him. But, there are so many people that start so young in life and become dependent on those things, trying to keep them healthy. And I think in the long run, that ultimately, obviously shortens your lifespan, because you're not doing the things to get off the pills and to live longer.
Right.
You're just doing the things you need to take the pills to keep living.
As you were speaking that, I was thinking, there are so many times in the Catholic faith that we do an examination of conscience. And because we get to do this examination, it's kind of instilled in us growing up. Okay, where did I go wrong? What did I do wrong? Bless me, Father, for I have sinned. Everything is about what did I do wrong? And as we start looking at, okay, well, I'm going to hang out with people that are worse off than me so that I can be better. There's certain little tricks that we do in our mind to keep us from that examination, that self-examination. I may not be doing. Okay, hold on a second. Okay, so in the last, hold on a second. I'm getting some text here, and I need to read what this is.
Okay.
Okay, so we're having some issues with, this. We're just glad that we are be able to go on Facebook Live today, because the last 4 days we haven't been able to. So I'm glad that we are. So
we broke the internet.
Yes, you know what? But anyway, so what I'm trying to say is we may not eat poorly, and we may not have any conditions, and we might be 86 years old. But let's go to that next side. Are we kind to people? Are we loving? Are we judgmental? Those are things that can harm our body as well. And so those are all the things that we think, okay, we are people of doing. We are a people of achievement. And as I had said earlier on the broadcast, what is our spirit telling us? And how is it affecting our body as well? Because as we know, and I say 95%, but a lot of the teachers that come on the show say 99% of all disease starts with a component of an emotional component, a trauma, something that causes it. And I do want to talk a little bit about that, if that is possible, if you'd like to dissect that. It looks like we're about to get started on the air.
You can count on me. I'll be right here waiting for you.
You can text Lillian McDermott or leave her a voicemail at 407-373-5959. Once again, here's Lillian.
Welcome back to the Lillian McDermott radio show, where you can hear us live worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com, and now live on Facebook Live. I'm just really excited about that. So my goal, I'm your host, Lillian McDermott, and it is my goal that we learn from each other. Go through life with childlike wonder. Be curious, not critical. Those are so many different words that we use, and so many different thoughts that we choose that bring us down the realist path, which means I'm just going to think about what could go wrong. But I choose to be a realist and think, what could go right? Yeah, let's do equal opportunity. I'm not going to be a Pollyanna. I'm going to look at what could go right first, and what are some of the risks that I might take? Is it worth the risk? So that is what we talk about here. It's about living a responsible life, about owning our life. What does owning our life look like? It looks like it doesn't matter what your past is or what's happened in the past. The now you live today will impact you if you hold on to the past. There's so many things. I want to dive into that in a little bit. But I want to encourage you to go to whenyouneedafriend.com, become a subscriber. Now, if you have not subscribed just yet, here's what I'd like for you to do. I want you to text me at 407-373-5959. That's 407-373-5959. And what I'd like for you to do is say, register me or subscribe me and give me your email address, and then I'll put you in there, because many of us say things that we're going to do, but we don't do it. So I want to encourage people, because pretty soon there are going to be some changes to the Lillian McDermott radio show, and I want us to get used to going to Facebook Live, on the internet. I want us to get used to a little change. And so knowing that, please go to whenyouneedafriend.com, become a subscriber. And once you subscribe, then you will receive some free gifts. Also, the show will be sent to you. But here's this. Once you go to whenyouneedafriend.com, there's a lot of little buttons and icons for my social media. So follow me in social media. That way, when we post or we go live on Facebook, you're alerted. Also, you can click on to YouTube. If you don't have time to watch during the day, you can go onto YouTube, and when you go onto YouTube, then that show, you can watch that show, and you subscribe, that show will be sent to you as well. So let's figure out different ways that we can watch the show and share it with our friends. Like it. Don't say you love the show and never share it with anybody. So we need to grow. And I am asking for you to help me grow. Another way that you can help me grow is by going to my sponsors page. Check out my sponsors and support them the way that they're supporting the show. This is a free show that you get to listen to, and hopefully the information is empowering and life-changing. So please go to whenyouneedafriend.com and let's grow together. We could also grow together on podcasts. So if you're a podcast person, you can subscribe there. But you can always call me at 407-373-5959, and you can share your thoughts, different suggestions for the show. So let's continue to grow together. Now, today I'm talking with Tim Walters, my editor at Florida Today. We're talking about my latest article, and my latest article is called, "What is Your Body Trying to Tell You?" Now, Tim, if you were to take a good look at your body, and I'm going to ask everybody who's listening right now to just feel the body. What do you think your body is trying to tell you right now at this moment?
It's a good question. Boy, that's a stumper.
Yes, we stop. We don't even do that to ourselves.
Yeah. I mean, it is a really good question, because I would have to probably sit here and think about it. Luckily, I'm in pretty good health. I'm not having too many problems. I guess if there was one thing my body is trying to tell me, and I've been trying to listen, but I don't always listen to it, is I've been having a foot problem, because I'm a long-time runner and a distance runner and things like that. And I've basically whittled my poor plantar away to nothing but a painful thing that I have to step out of bed onto every morning. So, trying to just improve on that and do other things like bicycling and, like I had said earlier, working out with a trainer so I don't have to run and do things like that. So if there's one thing my body is telling me, it's take it easy on your feet, because you really need those to exist.
Very good. Very good. And what can you do to help that out? And, some people say, oh, you need to have surgery, but guess what? Surgery can cause other scars in your body too. So you get to weigh what's beneficial for you as well.
And that's what people keep saying to me is, just go to the foot doctor and get a shot. And it's like, I don't want someone to stick a needle into my foot. If this is something that can heal over time, I'll find other ways.
Well, Tim, as you know, I say this in my article too. I was diagnosed with 4 herniated discs, spinal compression, and a torn left shoulder tendon. And I've used this. I was told that I was surgical, but my doctor knows me. And he looked at me and he said, will you choose, at this point, the answer is no. I am not going to choose surgery. But in the future, I don't know if I will. But for now, the answer is no. And so I needed to figure out how to best heal my body. I've used microcurrent technology. I've used pulse electromagnetic frequency. And for anybody who wants to learn about that, this is the the products that I bring to my doctors, and my doctors are using this on their patients. And so I've got my own machine that I've been using from the moment I was in the accident. So I wonder if you might benefit from that as well with your foot, because it does help break down scar tissue. And so and that's what happens when you have surgery. But that being said, what we do is when we get a diagnosis, we turn what the body is saying into a problem. The problem is not the diagnosis, and it does not keep us. So we need to continue saying, okay, what am I doing to cause this problem? Again, there's so many different things. So I've used the acronym. As you know, I love doing acronyms. I haven't been doing a lot of acronyms in the last month or so, but this one I used the word diagnosis as
Disease.
I'm sorry, disease. I wanted to do diagnosis, but disease. So then people say, I have blank disease, so I can't do this. And I have this blank disease, and I can't do that. The reality is that we should be able to do what we want regardless of our disease, even if we have to modify it. Let's not use the disease now the way we use our symptoms, the way we stop listening to the body. So with the first word is diagnosis. That's where I was looking at. So let's start from there.
Sure. So, you said that disease, every disease has an emotional component, which is very true. And when you learn what each symptom means, choose to listen and be willing to do the emotional work required to heal. So that was your definition for diagnosis. And the I in disease then is intuition, which you've already mentioned somewhat. So discuss that a little bit further.
Yeah, I want to go back to the diagnosis and how whenever we experience trauma, that trauma, it gets, according to what I've learned and the statistics that I read and the classes that I've taken, that trauma goes into what we know as a chakra center or a healing center in the body. And that's where it sits. And the body knows it's there, and the brain is trying to forget it. And so the body and the mind want to be in alignment with one another. And what happens is the body knows that you need to deal with something, and the brain says, no, I'm not going to deal with it because it's going to be painful. And the body says, well, or the gut says, well, because we know it's going to be painful, I need to align with you, so I'm going to give you pain. Does that make sense? I'm going to give you pain. And the pain might be your back will blow out, or something else will happen. And so I have a little chart that shows the different centers in the body and where the emotional component goes to. So when I work with people as a life coach, I usually listen to those diseases or diagnosis, and then I'm able to dive into the root cause, which is the life trauma. And so that's with the diagnosis. Now, when it comes to intuition, we're taught to ignore intuition. Oh, you shouldn't feel that way, Tim. Don't cry. Big boys don't cry, Tim. It's not a big deal, Tim. So, I mean, have you ever heard that, Tim?
Oh, of course. Yeah.
And all of us learn, we've been taught to ignore our intuition. And if your intuition was speaking to you, would your life be different if you were to listen to your intuition more? Or do you listen to your intuition?
I always listen to my intuition. Do I always do what it says? Not necessarily. But that's the big thing is, I mean, that's the conundrum in life where you have the little devil and the little angel on your shoulder. Which are you going to listen to at that moment in time?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So then that's the D and I. And then the next one is seek. The S is seek. And so again, I say be curious, not critical about alternative ways. We've been conditioned to go to the doctor when we're sick. And sometimes even on the way to the doctor, we get better. When we're sitting in the lobby, we start feeling better because in our brain, we have satisfied that. When you're sick, you go to the doctor. But what if, when we're sick, we start looking at what are our deficiencies, how have other people healed, and so what would our health care be like if we did that first? But we're going to continue our conversation with Tim Walters when we return live worldwide at whenyounneedafriend.com, Facebook Live, and on the radio. And we're going to continue our conversation when we return. We'll be right here waiting for you. So Critical, not critical, but curious. When I say that, in the past, I would say if somebody told me I can heal my body with my thoughts, with the way I eat, I would have thought they were crazy. Are you still thinking I'm crazy, Tim?
No, I don't. No, I don't think you're crazy. I also, unfortunately, I don't think it's an absolute. I wish that, if
No
you were
size
to
fits
eat
all.
great, yeah,
No size
exactly.
fits all.
But I mean, I think that's kind of one way where you and I have always aligned. Is I really have always thought that people's life choices, especially on what they eat and drink, is what drives a huge portion of physical problems and illness. So, and maybe that's because that's things I saw growing up, and that I watched how bad habits can affect physical well-being. So just things you learn along the way, and I agree with you. I think we have a similar philosophy. I don't know if I could do the healthy whole food plant-based diet, but I try and eat as healthy as I can, and like I said earlier, luckily I don't have many issues aside from and the foot thing is interesting because there's an example of when you're doing something that you're trying to be positive for your body and you can still hurt yourself. So I guess
well, when we're off the air, I'm going to read you from Louise Hay, I Can Heal Your Life, or You Can Heal Your Life. I'm trying to remember the name of the book, but I love that book. And whenever I have a symptom, I go to that book and I say, okay, what does Louise say is happening? What is my body speaking to me as? And of course, I've got my little chart, and I'd love to show you. I've got it like right here, and of course, I've got Facebook Live here. Which, by the way, thank you so much for all of you. Thank you so much for all of you tuning in. I really appreciate it. Help me share it. But like the emotional aspect, for if your foot hurts, got it down to the left foot or the right foot. By the way, which one is the foot that's hurting, your left or right foot?
That's my left foot.
Your left foot. Okay. So I'll reserve that for off the air. But there is a book that I have that Heal Your Life. I think that's the name. You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. And on the back, it has symptoms and comparison, and there's an affirmation that you can use. But I, too, don't agree that one size fits all. And so a whole food plant-based lifestyle will reverse diabetes within 2 weeks. You'll start reducing your medication. It can change clogged arteries. And so we say, well, I don't know if I could ever do that, but that doesn't mean you can't ever eat meat. It just means that keep your meat intake to 5%. But if there wasn't a pill for whatever there was, would you try it?
Yeah, I want to discuss that line on the air. That was one I was waiting till after the, but if we don't have time, I understand.
No, we do. Well, we could talk about that because it's part of, during the body work, the meditation work. And it looks like we're about to go in. And we're going to discuss it on there. You take over, Tim. And while you take over, I'm going to go get that book, okay?
Okay.
Count on me. I'll be right here waiting for you.
You can text Lillian McDermott or leave her a voicemail at 407-373-5959. Once again, here's Lillian.
And welcome back to the Lillian McDermott radio show. I am Tim Walters, an editor at Florida Today, and I am Lillian's guest this week as we dissect her latest article that she publishes on the second Thursday of every month in Florida Today's health section. It's currently up online right now at floridatoday.com/health and at whenyouneedafriend.com. And you can always check it out on the Florida Today app, or you can find it on Facebook. Check out Lillian McDermott's Facebook page. It's everywhere, so make sure to check it out. So this week we are talking about her latest article, and the headline, the title is What is Your Body Trying to Tell You? So we've been discussing, the ways your body speaks to you, how certain things can, lead to other problems. And we had started breaking down the word disease. Lillian uses the acronym disease this week, and we made it through the first 3 letters, the D being diagnosis, the I being intuition, and the S being seek. And we were discussing the seek as we went to break. And, that is Lillian states, be curious, not critical, about alternative ways to have healed about how alternative way people have healed their bodies, even if the diagnosis is considered terminal. And if somebody has survived it, you can too. A lot of people might not look at it that way. So I think that's a great positive way to look at, different diagnoses. But if things are terminal, then what have you got to lose to try an alternative way? So that is the S. And then we move to E, which is educate. The internet can be used to learn about options. Obviously, many of us have probably used WebMD and other type of medical websites, maybe the Mayo Clinic, which has a lot of great information. Have others healed naturally? And the answer to that question in most cases is yes. Research it, listen to it, and so that is the E. Did you want to add anything else to that?
Yeah, I do
Lily?
want to add to that because we tend to go for the allopathic, but here is PubMed.gov is where I go to review some of the things that I'm learning. And if you enter, and I suggest people enter whole food plant-based because whole food plant-based has been designed to reverse dis-ease and not only reverse it but prevent it. And of course we want to prevent disease. And if we are an open, when we're children, we're so open, and we're not protecting of ourselves. We see angels and we have monsters under our bed, and there's so many different things that start happening as we get older because we become part of this world. And so if we can just dabble into our spirit and be a part of who we are mind, body, spirit. Yes, address your body. Yes, address your mind. But what is our spirit feeling like right now? You can do everything that's great for your body, but if your spirit is disconnected to a higher source, or and that's the awareness portion of it. But education is so key, but be that equal opportunity. Educate not only the allopathic, but also holistic, integrated, functional, and other ways that your body can heal naturally. But the awareness is where we stop short. If your body is sick, if you're feeling tired, if you're feeling all these things, and we're telling ourselves that is so, we will believe it and we will act it. First, it's the thought, then it's the feeling, and then it's the action. It's so important that we be aware how we're using dis-ease to disconnect to a higher power, to disconnect to one another, to disconnect to ourselves. So that's is there anything that you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, I really liked in your awareness what you said here. This is kind of clever, but so you said that if given what you need, the body will return to health. But I like how you put this. You said it might take some time, but hey, it took some time to get the body sick. So you're not going to get results overnight, but you also didn't, come into those problems overnight. So, be patient. I think, that's probably the biggest message for the awareness is once you understand it, be patient, because you can't just change your diet and in 3 days, all of a sudden things will be wonderful. You didn't get in a certain situation in 3 days, so you're not getting out of it in 3 days.
I want to add to what you just said, Tim, because when I was challenged to go raw vegan and for a month, I accepted the challenge. I've always thought of myself as healthy. Of course, I even though I was on asthma medication and thyroid medication and all those things, I still considered myself healthy because I was slender, right? And so one of the things that happened was about 4 days after I accepted this challenge, I felt really good. But here's the thing, I did not feel bad. I did not know I could feel better. And many of us don't know we could feel better. And if I could challenge you, Tim, to go whole food plant-based, to see what your body says to you, because your body's been screeching or screaming and you think, okay, I'm not saying you, but I'm just saying you as a whole. You think that this is how good my body feels, but do you know if it could feel better? And so that is how we select what we want for our body. Is try it, see how you feel, but give it some time.
All right.
Would you? If I challenged you, would you accept the challenge like I did 5 years, 6 years ago?
The only reason why I would say it would be a little bit more difficult would be just because it would be, in a family situation, I would then have to cook separate meals for myself, for my wife and my child, and I would have to learn a new way of, shopping. It would take some planning and it would take some time. So right now it would be difficult. If it was just me, or if it was just me and my wife, I might say it would be easy, but there are a lot of little factors that go in. I'm sure I could even alter things the way I do to eat even better, but boy, that would be a difficult, that would be a tall order. And I don't know. I mean, I know you say it would feel better, but mentally, if I'm cutting out certain things that I enjoy, that's another hurdle to get over too.
Spoken like someone who has not met a diagnosis or have not felt that. When you feel, don't wait until you feel bad to choose something better, because that's what normally we do. Usually people that are life coaches, health coaches, or something has happened, something has happened. And so, by the way, the system crashed. So for those of you who are watching on Facebook Live, the station just crashed, and you're getting to see the show 100% of the time. So my message is, don't wait until your body breaks down to try something new that could prevent disease in your body. That's all I'm saying about that. And everybody has a choice to choose. And that's why we get to select. And that's what the S is for select. Once you know what all your options are, including conventional treatments, choose the plan that works for your body. One size does not fit all. And so the last one is empower. So do you want to talk about how you felt about when you were empowered?
Sure. So you say many people discourage you from integrative, functional, holistic ways to heal. And I think that there is a negative stigma, but I also think that there's a growing amount of people who actually see, that those things are not only acceptable, but work. So, I just always tell people, keep an open mind. I mean, obviously you should see your doctor, and, obviously your doctor is there trying to do the best that they can for you, but, don't be afraid to look at other ways just in case you're not getting the answer that you want from your traditional doctor. And, a lot of these, integrative and functional health medicines. And, again, I don't want to say any names, but I know there's a really top-notch one in Cocoa Beach. If you Google it, you can find their name. But, he makes a lot of difference for a lot of people. And we've done stories on him before. And it is encouraging and it is empowering to see that a person like that, who kind of looks at things and does things a different way, and is still an MD, there are other ways out there.
Yes. Well, Tim, we're coming to the end. I know that we've had some difficulties here, but we are on Facebook Live and we're okay. And I think we're now joined in the radio as well. But is there we've got like a minute left in the broadcast. Any final thoughts that you would like to share?
No, I guess just the only thing I would say is, read the article and, look at yourself.
Where can you find it?
At whenyouneedafriend.com and floridatoday.com/health. But it's like you were saying earlier, you asked me, what is your body telling you? And I hadn't really sat down and thought about it. So, later on, if you're driving home or right after this radio show, listen till the end, turn the radio off and think about that question. What is your body trying to tell you?
That's right. What is your body trying to tell you? And give it what it needs and be loving about it. Please remember, I'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. This is Lillian McDermott wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever. Oh my God. This is crazy. Very, very crazy. So before I know you need to go, Tim and Brian, thank you for coming back on. Were we able to MacGyver the last minute on the air? We're still on the air. We're still, music is playing. I did not.
Sorry, wrong knob. Yeah, we got the last 2 minutes in, but there's about 2 minutes of nothing.
What happened?
We just lost the internet.
Today we broke the internet.
We lost me. There's, there must have been the fallout from the election. What do you think, Tim?
I don't know. You should change from dial up to high speed.
What? You don't like my modem? Okay, so he dropped out again. So there must be some technical difficulties all over the place. I don't feel so bad that we got dropped out too for a little bit as well. But I want to point out this book that I'm talking about, Louise Hay. This is Louise Hay, or was Louise Hay, when in her younger years. She lived to 91. Beautiful, beautiful woman. And in the back of the book, there is a little section here. And this is how your body speaks to you. And
Ooh, what's it say about my left foot?
you want to know? You want to know?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, real quick. I got to leave in about just a couple of minutes.
Wasn't there a movie called
but
My Left Foot?
you know what? I have no idea. I'd have to ask Mr. Google.
Yep.
Dr. Google.
Okay, so feet. Okay. Fatigue. Okay. Fat. Let me go make sure I got feet. Okay. Now I got to shine the light on it because that's the way the cookie crumbles. It says represents our understanding of ourselves, of life, of others. That's feet. So it represents our understanding of life, others, and ourselves. It says, this is the positive affirmation. My understanding is clear, and I am willing to change with the time, and with the times. I am safe. So it represents our understanding. So there's something about what you're understanding. So I think I have to look at this a little bit more clearly. Really quickly, that's just the global, the feet. But,
so I understand that my foot hurts.
Yes, but there's an understanding. It represents our understanding. Like if there is a lack of understanding, that there's something that you need to understand, and that when you step on your foot, that's like it's keeping you from that's a representation of understanding. There's something you need to understand. And so my understanding is clear. That's the affirmation. So you're giving your body acceptance to understand. Like, has anybody said to you, but you just don't understand. You just don't understand. And you're going, yeah, but I do understand. I do understand. All of a sudden your left foot starts, hurting. So anyway, I know it's far-fetched for some people, but I mean, we've got it down to like in the chakra 1, it has to do with family, organization, safety, security, sense of belonging. So that's chakra 1. And, and so that corresponds to health issues like bone, joint, blood, immune system, and skin disorders. So, that's just 1. But they go all the way to 7, which is the top of the head chakra. And then when you study with Dr. Mona Lisa Scholz, it takes you all the way to 14, which is, it's more of a connection with God and a higher power. That's when you deal with that one. But that's neither here or there. I just want to make sure that we know that there's more that we don't know. That's all. That there's more we don't know. And so I want to encourage everybody to be curious about their life and what their body is trying to tell them. It's not just my foot hurts, or my car broke down, or my left shoulder or my neck is hurting. There's a correlation with our life. Like if anything's happening in our neck that has to do with will or timing, or perception, if it's the eyes, communication and will or timing is the throat. And there's different areas that are associated with a disease. So anyway, I'm going to stop there because it's going to sound a little crazy, but you've got that image. I sent you the image, and it's very interesting stuff. So the body is speaking to us. And so Tim, will you accept the challenge that you will take 5 minutes today to just stop? No internet, no phone, no deadlines. And you're going to talk to your body and see what it's trying to tell you about your left foot.
All right. I can do that.
Okay. I'm looking forward to hearing it. And so for you, my viewing friends, you're now still on Facebook Live. Thank you for watching us. Please share this broadcast. And on YouTube, like us, share, and help us spread the good news about the show. Thank you. And Tim, until we see each other again, make it the best day
ever.
Oh, now you're going to be a beauty queen, huh? Okay, I'm going to say goodbye.
The queen.
Bye. See ya. Okay, here we go.